What if fame isn't just a moment, but a loop? Welcome to Past Paradise, where we dive into the eerie phenomenon of celebrity doppelgangers who seem to echo through time. From Jay-Z's uncanny twin spotted in a 1933 Harlem Street photo to Peter Dinklage's mirror image in a 17th century Spanish court jester, these resemblances go beyond coincidence. Orlando Bloom channels Romanian painter Nicolae Grigorescu, while Ellen DeGeneres could pass for Henry David Thoreau's reincarnation. And then there's Matthew McConaughey, whose 1800s look-alike, Dr. Andrew Sanders, has fans wondering if "all right, all right, all right" was whispered centuries ago. Whether it's a Civil War soldier who looks like John Travolta or a vintage mugshot that screams Justin Timberlake, these faces from the past raise questions about legacy, identity, and maybe even time travel. Could these be mere coincidences, or is history presenting us with intriguing puzzles? Let's unravel the mystery, one uncanny resemblance at a time. Nicolas Cage, an 1800s man from a Civil War photo. The 1800s photo was estimated to be from around the 1860s, Civil War era, with albumen print common for that era. He was an unnamed man, likely from Tennessee, wearing formal attire typical of 19th century portraits. It was likely part of a private collection or estate sale before surfacing. The seller of the photo was Jack Mord, a photo collector and eBay user who listed the antique photograph on eBay for $1 million. The headline was, "Nicolas Cage is a vampire," suggesting the actor is immortal, and the listing description claimed the photo is 100% real and unaltered, which called attention to the uncanny resemblance to actor Nicolas Cage. This advert sparked interest due to the price, bold claim, and eerie visual similarity. The listing went viral across Reddit, Twitter, and Facebook, and some media channels like ABC News, Time, and late-night talk shows, with the image used in memes with captures like "Nicolas Cage doesn't age" and "proof of time travel." Nicolas publicly responded in 2012 on The Late Show with David Letterman. His response was that he acknowledged the photo and laughed it off while saying, "There's a photograph of me from the 1800s. It's not me. I don't drink blood, and the last time I looked in the mirror, I had a reflection." His good-natured reaction added fuel to the meme's longevity, and the meme format evolved. Keanu Reeves and 19th century French actor Paul Monet. Paul Monet was a French actor and playwright. He was well known for his work in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The period of time during which he was most active was the late 1800s and early 1900s. Paul had a significant influence on the development of French theater, and he was well known for his performances in Shakespearean parts. There are surviving portraits of Monet from this period, which are often black and white or sepia-toned and depict him with very distinguished facial characteristics. During the 2010s, fans and users of the Internet noticed a remarkable physical resemblance between the portraits of Paul Monet and the contemporary actor Keanu Reeves. The photo had key features such as a similar face shape, deep-set eyes, prominent cheekbones, and hairstyles that echo Reeves' looks in films such as John Wick and The Matrix, which were among the features that stood out to them. Images of Keanu Reeves and Paul Monet were placed next to one another and shared on fan pages and social media posts, which were then spread over the Internet. There were articles and videos that came to light that talked about the Keanu Reeves 19th century doppelganger. The fans playfully theorized that there were a few possible explanations for the celebrity look-alike case. They discussed the possibility of time travel, reincarnation, genetic coincidence, or supernatural causes, all of which were comparable to past examples of celebrity look-alikes. The President George Washington and the American actress Glenn Close. Due to the remarkable resemblance that the painting bore to Glenn Close, who works as an actress, this portrait of George Washington, who served as the inaugural President of the United States of America, attracted a significant amount of attention in the year 2025. The portrait had been newly discovered at that time. The portrait features Washington's calm demeanor, his strong facial structure, and his penetrating gaze, all of which are captured in the frame. Close's appearance and performance are both characterized by the same attributes, according to the judgment of a large number of individuals. The striking resemblance between these individuals has spurred conversation regarding the possibility of reincarnation and the notion that the spirits of historical figures could be able to manifest themselves in people who are now alive, even when there are centuries separating them from one another. The general public continues to be astonished by the connection between the two persons, despite the fact that professionals have dedicated a considerable portion of their attention to the coincidence and facial similarity that exists between them. It reminds us of the power of historical imagery to pique people's curiosity about their lineage and identity, as well as the mysterious links that connect the past and the present. Eddie Murphy and 1920s Man in Harlem. The Harlem Renaissance was an important cultural movement that occurred throughout the 1920s among African Americans. Harlem, a neighborhood in New York City, was selected as the location for the headquarters of the company. The city of New York was chosen as the headquarters location. The character of this period of time was shaped by a number of different events that occurred during this era, one of which was the emergence of jazz music. Social change took place, literacy rates saw an improvement, and there was a rise in inventive inventions. Photographs from that era, which captured the lives of the people who lived there, were taken, and the persons who lived there were dressed in the latest styles. It is essential to keep in mind that the results of this study are not universally applicable. Feelings of self-assurance, pride in one's ancestry, and cultural vitality were conveyed by these articles of clothing. There is an African-American man featured in a black and white photograph that was taken at some point in the past. To this day, his identity has not been revealed to anyone. He is dressed in a suit, a tie, and a hat, all of which were considered to be fashionable items of clothing during the 1920s. Additionally, his wardrobe is in compliance with the fashion trends that are currently popular. The facial characteristics and mannerisms of the man have a striking similarity to those of Eddie Murphy, especially during his earlier years, which is apparent in the man's facial features and mannerisms. This photograph is occasionally shared on the internet as an example of a doppelganger from a long time ago. Bill Bailey and Thomas Hobbes. Historians and fans have both come to the conclusion that there are a number of striking similarities between Bill Bailey, who is a comedian, and Thomas Hobbes, who is an English philosopher notable for his work on political theory. This conclusion was made in the year 2025. Hobbes lived a long and prosperous life throughout the entirety of the 17th century. The facial expressions of Hobbes, which was introspective, the eyes that were filled to the brim with emotion, and the jawline that was unlike any other, are all seen in the photographs that were recently analyzed. There is a considerable number of people who believe that Bailey's facial features are a representation of the qualities of Hobbes. The theories that Hobbes developed regarding human nature and social contracts remains relevant in the world today, despite the passage of time. In addition, the fact that Bailey was able to demonstrate such a keen sense of humor and a sharp wit is a testament to the fact that they were able to think on a much deeper level than most others. Despite the fact that the idea of reincarnation is nothing more than a hypothesis at the present time, the comparison brings up questions about whether or not it is possible for personalities and qualities to be permanent. The striking similarity that exists between these two people has led to some fascinating discussions on history, identity, and the lasting connections that exist between historical ideas and the people who are alive today. Maggie Gyllenhaal and Rose Wilder Lane. Rose was born on December 5, 1886, and her profession was author, journalist, and political theorist. She was the daughter of Laura Ingalls Wilder, Little House on the Prairie author. Influential writer in her own right, she helped shape early American libertarian thought and was known for works like Free Land and Discovery of Freedom. She worked as a war correspondent and political commentator in the 1920s through 40s. Photographs of Rose in her youth, circa 1900s to 1920s, show a sharp, expressive face with piercing eyes and refined features eerily similar to actress Maggie Gyllenhaal. Maggie is an American actress, director, and producer with notable works in The Dark Knight, Secretary, and The Lost Daughter, director. She is known for her distinctive facial features, expressive eyes, and classic, almost vintage Hollywood beauty, and is often cast in introspective, complex roles that echo the intellectual depth associated with historical figures like Rose. Side-by-side comparisons of early photos of Rose Wilder Lane and modern portraits of Maggie began circulating in the 2010s. Fans and pop culture blogs noted her similar facial shape, prominent eyes and brows, matching cheekbones, and both of their expressions carry a calm poise. Social media threads and history-themed forums shared the comparison, sparking curiosity and headlines with captions like, "Maggie Gyllenhaal is the spitting image of Rose Wilder Lane." Alec Baldwin and 1800s U.S. President Millard Fillmore. Millard Fillmore was born on January 7, 1800. He was the 13th President of the United States, 1850 to 53. He took the office after the death of President Zachary Taylor, who oversaw the controversial Compromise of 1850, including the Fugitive Slave Act. He was often ranked lower in presidential rankings, but historically significant during the pre-Civil War years with classic 19th century statesman look formal attire. Portraits and daguerreotypes show a man who, even by 1800 standards, had a strikingly modern face and died on March 8, 1874. Meanwhile, Alec Baldwin was born on April 3, 1958, with professions as actor, producer, comedian, and political satirist. He did some notable work in 30 Rock, The Departed, Glengarry Glen Ross, and Saturday Night Live, famous for his impersonation of Donald Trump, with classic American features like a strong jawline, angular nose, and expressive eyes. He was known for his old-school Hollywood look, especially in his younger years, with broad shoulders, serious presence, fits the physical mold of a historical figure. Internet users and history buffs began noting the uncanny resemblance between Baldwin and Millard Fillmore in the early 2010s. Side-by-side comparisons of Fillmore's presidential portraits and Baldwin's press photos or film stills show nearly identical facial structure and similar hairline and hairstyle. Anthony Hopkins, an ancient philosopher. The year 2025 saw the world once again become fascinated by an artistic illustration of Socrates, who was a philosopher in ancient Greece. This portrayal stood out from the crowd since it was unlike any other representation of its kind that had ever been witnessed before. The reason for this was linked to the fact that it bore an eerie resemblance to the actor Anthony Hopkins. The serious expression and the distinctive facial features of Socrates, who is well known for the significant impact he had on the development of philosophy in the Western world, are thought by a significant number of individuals to share some parallels with the renowned appearance of Hopkins. Hopkins is famous for his vast knowledge of the subject area and his extraordinary aptitude as an investigator. His voice, which has a deep and commanding tone, as well as his acting manner, which is meditative, are both manifestations of these characteristics. This visual similarity brings up questions regarding the possibility that brilliant minds are able to overcome the limitations of time and whether or not particular individuals may be immortal. This is in spite of the fact that the idea of reincarnation is still considered to be a hypothesis rather than a scientifically proven fact. The mysterious phenomenon of historical figures making appearances in contemporary culture is brought to light by this link, which gives rise to a combination of art, philosophy, and mystery. Jay-Z and 1930s Harlem Man in a vintage photo. Jay-Z, who is a rapper, producer, entrepreneur, and mogul, is regarded as one of the most successful and influential hip-hop musicians of all time. He was renowned for his contemplative poetry, his financial acumen, and the distinctive New York swagger that he possessed. Beyoncé is married to Jay-Z, who is also one of the co-founders of Roc Nation. Jay-Z has a number of physical characteristics, including a prominent facial structure, eyes that are expressive and wide-set, ears that are easily distinguishable, and a hairline that is quite distinctive. The Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, which is a part of the New York Public Library, was the place where the Harlem photograph taken in the 1930s was discovered. The photograph was taken in Harlem, New York, and the date was about 1930. He is an African-American man whose name was not known. He was sitting on a stone railing, and his posture was calm. The man's choice of attire, which includes a jacket and a newsboy-style cap, is an important element since it is representative of the classic fashion trends of Harlem in the 1930s. His face is almost exactly the same as Jay-Z's, particularly when it comes to his eyes and nose, and he radiates both confidence and presence. The New York Public Library posted an image on the Internet, and as a result, the photograph began to get noticed during the month of July in 2013. Internet users immediately noticed the similarity, and it quickly became a worldwide sensation on social media platforms such as Instagram, Reddit, and Twitter, with meme captions pouring in. One such comment read, "Jay-Z time travels to 1939 Harlem." Queen Latifah and Zora Neale Hurston. Zora Neale Hurston, who was born on January 7, 1891, was a novelist, anthropologist, playwright, folklorist, and key figure of the Harlem Renaissance. Zora was well known for her vivid depiction of African Americans living in the rural South, and she was much praised for her masterpiece. A pioneer in the preservation of the language and folklore of Black people in the South, her outspoken demeanor and her ability to think for herself went against the established standards. Zora's presence was strong, bright, and unapologetic. She wore gorgeous hats, elegant gowns from the 1930s, and confident attitudes. Her eyes were expressive, her smile was attractive, and her face was full. Her death occurred on the 28th of January, 1960. Diana Elaine Owens, who is also known as Queen Latifah, has worked in a variety of occupations, including rapper, singer, actress, producer, and businesswoman. Queen Latifah was one of the first women in hip-hop to achieve significant mainstream popularity. She is an Emmy and Golden Globe award-winning actress, known for her roles in Chicago, Bessie, and The Equalizer. She was an advocate for Black pride, cultural preservation, and the empowerment of women. Diana was well known for her ability to maintain a balance between grace and toughness in her public and professional life. She had powerful facial features, expressive eyes, and a regal smile, all of which contributed to her reputation. She has no trouble wearing both classic grace and current glamour at the same time. She exudes a sense of authority, intelligence, and grace, similar to Zora. Justin Timberlake, 19th Century Criminal Mugshot. A 19th century mugshot of an unnamed man began circulating online in the early 2010s. What caught everyone's attention? The man in the photo looks shockingly similar to Justin Timberlake. The photo dates back to the late 1800s, likely between the 1870s to 1890s, based on photographic style and clothing. Taken as part of early police documentation, possibly using the Bertillon system, which classified criminals based on facial measurements. The man photographed appears to be a young white male dressed in period-appropriate attire. No official name, date, or crime record is publicly available with the image, adding to the mystery. Justin is known for his boy band fame with NSYNC. Justin has a successful solo career in music and film with his signature early 2000s look and well-defined facial features. Fans noted how the criminal mugshot resembles Timberlake during his Justified era, 2002 to 4. The image went viral on platforms like Reddit, Twitter, and Facebook. Fans posted side-by-side comparisons that stunned viewers. Meme culture embraced the photo, further spreading its fame. Joking speculation that Timberlake is a time traveler, and fans joke that the criminal might be Timberlake in a past life. As of now, Justin Timberlake has not acknowledged publicly the viral mugshot comparison, and fans have occasionally asked about it during interviews, but it remains an internet Easter egg more than a pop culture staple. It is still widely shared in Reddit threads and image galleries on platforms like Imgur and Pinterest. Orlando Bloom and Nicolae Grigorescu, Romanian painter, 1800s. The Internet has a long-standing fascination with celebrities who resemble people from the past. One particularly striking comparison is between Orlando Bloom, an English actor, and Nicolae Grigorescu, a 19th-century Romanian painter. The resemblance sparked interest due to their nearly identical facial features, particularly in portraits of Grigorescu from his prime. Orlando, who is famous for his roles as Legolas in The Lord of the Rings and Will Turner in Pirates of the Caribbean. He is known for his classical features and defined cheekbones and often sports longer hair, especially in period roles. Bloom often plays characters with a historical or fantasy edge, making the resemblance to a 19th-century figure even more compelling. Nicolae is one of Romania's most celebrated painters, regarded as a founder of modern Romanian painting. Impressionism and realism, known for peasant portraits, rural scenes, and light-filled landscapes, while he studied in Paris and was deeply influenced by the Barbizon school of painters. He became a national cultural icon in Romania. The similarity is best seen in photographs and painted self-portraits of Grigorescu from the mid to late 1800s. In side-by-side comparisons, many have commented that Bloom could play Grigorescu in a biopic without makeup. The resemblance first gained attention on Reddit and Romanian art blogs, where fans posted image comparisons. Romanian users were especially vocal, expressing pride and humor at the idea that Grigorescu lives on as a Hollywood actor. Johnny Depp and Arthur Schopenhauer, German philosopher. The Internet enjoys discovering prominent similarities between celebrities of the present day and people from the past. Johnny is one example of a similarity that, despite being surprising, is yet rather fascinating. Johnny is an actor who has achieved worldwide fame, and he is most known for the moody and passionate characters that he plays. Arthur, a philosopher from Germany who lived in the 19th century and is well known for his pessimistic yet profound perspective on the world. The similarities between the two individuals are not limited to their appearances. They are also fascinating connections between their personas in terms of style and theme. Depp has a reputation for playing characters who are peculiar, gloomy, and secretive. Some of his most notable roles include Captain Jack Sparrow, Edward Scissorhands, and Sweeney Todd. High cheekbones, eyes that are set deep into their sockets, and hair that is frequently unkempt are all distinguishing characteristics. Both in his roles and in his public persona in real life, he exudes a brooding, introspective atmosphere. Depp's portrayal of characters who are living on the fringes of society or reality are very similar to Schopenhauer's own perspective on life. Philosophical pessimism, which is the concept that the course of life is determined by irrational will and is fraught with misery, is a philosophy for which Arthur is well known. The World as Will and Representation, 1818, is one of the most well-known books that Arthur has produced. Images of him, including portraits and early shots, show him with eyes that are deeply set, cheekbones that are sharply defined, and a jawline that is powerful. He also has wild hair that is frequently disheveled later in life, which occasionally resembles Depp's mad genius look. He had a significant impact on philosophers who would come after him, like as Nietzsche, and he rejected those who thought optimistically, like Hegel. Schopenhauer, who lived to be 76 years old, is depicted in pictures and paintings from his 50s, 60s, and 70s, with facial features that are strikingly comparable to those of Depp. Examples of these similarities include facial structure that is angular and eyes that are intense and shadowy with a gloomy expression. Comparisons that juxtapose two things have been widely circulated on social media platforms such as Reddit, Pinterest, and Twitter. Ellen DeGeneres and Henry David Thoreau. Ellen, a contemporary American comedian and talk show host, is known for her sharp wit and charismatic stage presence with signature short light blonde hair and dyes, a boyish androgynous style that became part of her trademark look. Ellen is an LGBTQ plus trailblazer, famously coming out on national television in the 1990s. Meanwhile, Henry has done famous work in Walden, 1854, Reflections on Simple Living in Natural Surroundings, and in Civil Disobedience, 1849, a political essay influencing generations of activists. He is known for his advocacy of individual conscience, nature, and nonviolent protest. In many portraits and sketches of Thoreau, his facial structure bears a striking similarity to Ellen's, like a straight pointed nose, high cheekbones, and a narrow chin, a similarly sharp, alert gaze, and a slightly elongated face. In particular, an often shared daguerreotype-style portrait of Thoreau makes the similarity unmistakable, prompting fans to joke, "Ellen went back in time and became a philosopher." The resemblance has been widely circulated online through memes and side-by-side image comparisons. Reddit threads and Tumblr posts titled, "Ellen DeGeneres is Henry David Thoreau." Twitter jokes ranging from "time travel confirmed" to "reincarnation is real." The meme plays on both visual likeness and the stark contrast between their personalities and eras, which makes it even more amusing. Matthew McConaughey and Dr. Andrew Sanders. Dr. Andrew, referred to in family photos as great-great-grandfather, was a man named Sanders Parker from Tennessee. He lived in Alabama. Family lore says he was a doctor who traveled by train or buggy to see patients. Photo likely dates to the late 1800s, 19th century. The resemblance was pointed out by Sander Parker's sister, who recognized that Dr. Sander looked very much like Matthew McConaughey. Sanders Parker shared the old family photo on Reddit and Imgur, which quickly gained over 1 million views. Media outlets like Time, Glamour, and Mike covered the story, usually with side-by-side comparisons or memes joking about time travel or reincarnation. The photo is an old black and white, likely taken with early photographic technology. Image quality, lighting, pose, lens distortion, etc. all affect how features look, but differences may be exaggerated or obscured. McConaughey is alive and photographed in varied lighting and angles. Dr. Sanders' image is just one static vintage photo. Similarity may hold under that one depiction, but diverge under others. There is no proven familial relation or historical record tying McConaughey and Sanders. This seems purely a resemblance, not a genetic connection. Some people might see the resemblance more strongly due to confirmation bias. Once someone suggests, "This looks like McConaughey," viewers tend to focus on features that match and ignore ones that don't. Sanders Parker's grandmother remembered Dr. Sanders as someone who liked to sit on the porch, pipe in hand, small lifestyle echoes that some fans think resemble McConaughey's laid-back, outdoorsy Texas persona. The resemblance is visually compelling in the shared photo. Face shape, mustache stare, overall posture, all combine to make Dr. Andrew Sanders look like a period version of McConaughey. John Travolta, Civil War soldier. A photograph, ambrotype or similar old 19th century photograph, surfaced that an online seller claimed shows a man who looks very much like a young John Travolta. The seller from Ontario, Canada, identified on some sites as Anything Deco or Fawn, listed the photo on eBay or similar platforms for around $50,000, claiming it's from around 1860. The story made rounds in 2011, several articles in Vintage News, The Daily Beast, and Parade, often tied to speculation about reincarnation, because Travolta is a Scientologist and that religion has some beliefs related to past lives, and time travel memes. Sellers, eBay and other auction platforms use the look-alike claim to generate interest. This often increases value or curiosity. Here are the reasons to be cautious about treating the photo as anything more than an amusing resemblance. The claimed date, 1860, is not proven. It's not always clear whether the photograph comes with reliable provenance, who took it where, etc. Auction listings often don't provide verifiable documentation. Once someone suggested, "This reminds me of Travolta," people started to emphasize matching features, chin, eyes, hairline, and overlook differences like nose, ears, etc. The sitter in the photo is unnamed. There's no known record that he was linked to Travolta or that Travolta has any genealogical connection to him, so it remains speculation. The story is compelling partly because people like stories of lookalikes, especially when tied to celebrities and when the celebrities' beliefs, or perceived beliefs, allow for ideas like past lives. The public loves a mystery. Is this photo of someone who looks exactly like Travolta? It's entertaining, even if not actual proof. Sylvester Stallone, Pope Gregory IX, 13th century. Born Ugolino de' Conti, approximately between 1145 to 1170, died on August 22, 1241. He was pope from 1227 to 1241. He was known for being a strong leader of papal power, instituting the Papal Inquisition, and codifying canon law, the Decretals, in 1234. The comparison stems largely from a Renaissance fresco by Raphael, Gregory IX approving the Decretals, circa 1511, located in the Vatican, Stanza della Signatura. In that painting, there's a figure, an onlooker or attendant in the background, whose facial features, cheekbones, eyelids, and jaw expression, some people believe resemble Sylvester Stallone. While many people are amused or intrigued by the resemblance, there are several reasons to be cautious about taking it as strong evidence of anything beyond coincidence, like the figure is not Pope Gregory IX himself, but among the observers in Raphael's painting. So it's not a portrait of Gregory. It's supposition when identifying which figure it meant. Artists of that time often idealized or generalized features. Light, shadow, costume, and artistic conventions may exaggerate or alter facial features in ways that make some resemblances appear stronger than they would in a photograph. The fresco is old. Viewers seeing it through images may be influenced by angle, lighting, and the medium increasing or enhancing perceived similarity. There's no evidence that the figure meant to represent a person with Stallone's features has any connections to the past. Channing Tatum and the World War I soldier. The general public was granted access to an extraordinary photograph in the year 2025, which depicted a soldier who had participated in World War I. When the snapshot was taken, it recorded the image of a young guy whose facial characteristics were strikingly similar to those of the actor Channing Tatum. This photograph, which was taken around the year 1917, has preserved for future generations the soldier's steadfast gaze and dominating jawline. These are features that are usually connected with Tatum's unique personality. This remarkable similarity led to discussions regarding the potential of reincarnation and the possibility that souls have the ability to travel through time and express themselves in future times. These comparisons continue to fascinate these folks, despite the fact that historians caution fans and other people who are interested in the paranormal that such similarities in facial characteristics are usually coincidental. The snapshot is meant to serve as a motivator for people to consider the various ways in which history and modern identities could possibly overlap. This photograph piques one's interest in the mysteries of life, the characteristics that make up one's individuality, and the question of whether or not objects from the past are still present in today's world. The Stalin resemblance and Sacha Baron Cohen. The comparisons that have been made between Sacha Baron Cohen, who is an entertainer, and Joseph Stalin, who served as the leader of the Soviet Union, have caused concerns over reincarnation and historical connections to become a topic of renewed interest in the year 2025. There is a portrait of Stalin that is hardly ever seen, and there are a few individuals who believe that the expressive expression that is depicted in the portrait resembles Cohen's face. Stalin's piercing eyes and broad jawline are among the features of his appearance that are revealed in the photograph. Cohen is well known for his comedy and satire, but Stalin is famed for his authoritarian rule. As a result, Their public personas are diametrically opposite to one another. Nevertheless, a lot of people have discovered that their physical likeness to one another is a fascinating characteristic. Even though experts emphasize that these similarities are often the product of both chance and genetic variation, they nonetheless raise questions about the possibility that souls are able to journey through time and then return to Earth. This similarity, which is quite significant, serves as a catalyst for future investigation into the concept of identity, the historical background of one's family, and the unexpected areas of convergence that may be discovered when comparing past events with modern culture. Robin Williams and Ilya Mechnikov. There was an old photograph of Ilya Mechnikov that surfaced in the year 2025. Mechnikov was an immunologist that had been recognized with the Nobel Prize. Following the release of this picture to the public, it became clear that there was an uncanny likeness between him and Robin Williams, who was an actor who passed away. Mechnikov's expressive face, his loving eyes, and his enticing smile were all evocative of the undeniable warmth and energy that Williams possessed. This is achieved by creating a bridge between the domains of scientific research and entertainment. Williams's performances, which were both brilliant and compassionate, had a profound impact on the lives of millions of people. On the other hand, Mechnikov's pioneering discovery in the field of immunology resulted in a change in the medical profession. The striking resemblance between these two individuals has led to discussions concerning the idea of reincarnation and the notion that certain souls may endure throughout numerous generations. Even though there is no definitive proof of the existence of reincarnation, the similarity between the two figures prompts reflection on the ways in which characteristics such as empathy and intelligence might be able to transcend time, thereby creating connections between figures from history and symbols from today in ways that are both unexpected and significant. Bruce Willis and World War II General Douglas MacArthur. Douglas served in World War II with distinction and rose quickly through the ranks, where he commanded Allied forces in the Pacific Theater. In the 1930s, he was appointed the U.S. Army Chief of Staff. Douglas was known for the dramatic "I shall return" vow in the Philippines post-World War II. He oversaw Japan's reconstruction and introduced democratic reforms. In the Korean War, Douglas led UN forces and was later removed by President Truman in 1951 for insubordination. Meanwhile, in the 1980s, Bruce Willis rose to fame on Moonlighting, TV, and blended comedy and drama. In 1988, he became a global star with Die Hard as John McClane while being a gritty and everyman hero. In the 1990s to 2000s, he starred in blockbuster hits Armageddon, Pulp Fiction, The Fifth Element, The Sixth Sense, and was known for his action hero persona, rugged charisma, and emotional restraint on screen. Douglas traits: brilliant strategist, theatrical, sometimes egotistical, and patriotic. He is highly disciplined, has dramatic flair, and is revered and controversial. Douglas is often viewed as a war hero and symbol of American strength. Bruce Willis's traits: tough, sarcastic, emotionally grounded, and blue-collar hero. His understated intensity, who played reluctant leaders who persevere. Bruce is also seen as a relatable, battle-hardened figure in cinema. Douglas symbolized American resilience and strategic might. He was revered in the Philippines and Japan for his role in liberation and reform. Meanwhile, Bruce Willis helped shift Hollywood action from invincible supermen, like Schwarzenegger, to fallible human heroes. He stepped back from acting in recent years due to an aphasia diagnosis. Michael Jackson and an 18th century painting. Following Michael Jackson's completion of surgical treatments, his face has often been compared to that of a portrait from the 18th century. The features of his face that bear the most striking resemblances to one another are his eyes and the lines of his jaw. The pop sensation Jackson is known for his unique look following surgery, and the snapshot, which was taken long before Jackson was even born, has characteristics that are comparable to the singer's hallmark look. This extraordinary similarity has raised questions regarding the mechanisms by which facial features are passed down from one generation to the next which has added an element to Jackson's change that is quite magical in its nature. The comparison to a painting that is hundreds of years old serves to demonstrate that some facial features, such as the form of the jaw and the way the eyes seem, have the ability to endure the test of time to a significant degree. This is true even if he has experienced some changes in his appearance. The way in which Jackson's relationship with the historical artwork obscures the lines that separate the classical from the contemporary serves to enhance the mystery that surrounds his look. Tilda Swinton and David Bowie, musician. Tilda Swinton and David Bowie are both personalities who are alive today. Nonetheless, they have frequently been compared to one another as a result of their similar androgynous appearances as well as their unique looks. Their extraordinary and uncommon appearances serve as proof of the fact that they are both capable of effortlessly navigating the constraints of traditional gender stereotypes. Due to the fact that she has a pale complexion, an ethereal appearance, and distinct facial characteristics, Swinton's appearance is sometimes compared to that of Bowie. Through his audacious avant-garde fashion sense, Bowie questioned conventional standards, and Swinton's appearance frequently elicits comparisons to him. Due to their peculiar appearance and the aura of otherworldliness that they carry, they are commonly mentioned when the conversation turns to well-known individuals who do not adhere to the criteria of conventional beauty. The fact that both Bowie and Swinton have a tendency to embrace jobs and performances that run contrary to what is expected of them serves to accentuate the similarities between the two of them. This relationship underscores the enduring attraction of both singers, especially when one takes into account the fact that they both exemplify an androgynous image which has had a cultural impact that has lasted for a significant period of time. Michael Shannon and a young soldier in Hitler's army. Michael Shannon bears a striking resemblance to a teenage soldier who served in Hitler's army during World War II, as seen in a historical snapshot from that conflict. The similarities between them are most readily apparent in their facial structure, especially in their sharp features and the intensity of their gaze. It is unsettling that Shannon and the young soldier who appears in the snapshot gives the impression that they are linked by a connection that transcends the boundaries of time, given the fact that their emotional states are almost identical. The parallels are unsettling given the historical backdrop, but they also serve as a potent reminder that physical characteristics have the ability to persist for generations, and that they can even reappear in people who are considerably different from the original subject. The fact that Shannon and the soldier have a likeness to one another is just coincidental. There is no reason for it. On the other hand, it brings attention to the intriguing and sometimes alarming aspects of doppelgangers, particularly during the most challenging periods in history. Furthermore, it draws attention to the fact that characteristics may continue to exist unexpectedly over time and in a wide range of situations. Charlie Sheen and John Brown, abolitionist. John Brown, a notable abolitionist from the United States of America, and Charlie Sheen bear a striking resemblance to one another in a variety of ways. Two instances of these parallels are their prominent facial features and their piercing eyes. Among the characteristics that contribute the most to the fact that they bear a striking similarity to one another are their expressive eyes, the general shape of their faces, and their prominent jaw lines. Brown's visage is relatively recognizable because of the fact that photos of him were taken on a regular basis throughout his time as an abolitionist. There is a remarkable similarity between the face of Brown and the face of Sheen, whose face is likewise widely recognized for its intensity and the expression of sorrow that it frequently wears. The fact that these two people are so strikingly similar in appearance is evidence of the way in which certain physical characteristics can be passed down from one generation to the next, even though these individuals come from historical periods that are significantly different from one another. The enduring fascination with doppelgangers is in part due to the striking resemblance that Sheen and Brown have to one another. This parallelism provides an interesting insight into the possibility that the superstars of the current period are reflections of well-known figures from the past. Due to the fact that they are both wearing appearances that are rather similar to one another, the difference between the two individuals is given a serious tone. Hugh Grant and Oscar Wilde, Irish poet and playwright. During the course of the 19th century, Oscar Wilde made a name for himself in Ireland as a writer of both plays and poetry. In this day and age, it is not unusual for people to comment on the unnerving and strange similarities that may be observed between Oscar Wilde and Hugh Grant. Grant is able to draw a connection between the literature of the 19th century and contemporary film, since there are a number of similarities between the two. There are a few characteristics that are rather easy to notice when considering each of them, such as their expressive eyes and their jaw lines, which are clearly defined. To take it a step further, the two individuals have certain characteristics that are glaringly similar, particularly when the comparison is made within the context of these two areas of interest. Due to the fact that both of them possess facial expressions that are considered to be appealing, they have a number of characteristics in common, and these similarities will continue to be there for many years to come. When these manifestations are linked to one another, they develop into an even more substantial source of strength. Wilde and Grant both possess a timeless appeal that has captured the attention of audiences in their respective eras. Wilde is a well-known name in the world of comedy because of his grace and wit, but Grant is a household name because of his mesmerizing performances in romantic comedies. Due to the amazing similarities between the themes of the past and the present, it is easy to create a strong visual contrast between the two. Because of the striking similarities between the two of them, it is nearly impossible to tell them apart from one another. As a consequence of this visual contrast, the creation of innovative hypotheses is encouraged, and the fact that there are certain aspects of human nature that are incapable of being changed is also brought to light. Zach Galifianakis and Louis Vuitton, founder of the luxury brand. The Louis Vuitton brand is well known for selling its products at prices that are exceptionally high. The person who founded the company, whose name is Louis Vuitton, and Zach Galifianakis look quite alike. There is something about this likeness that feels a little disturbing. Each of them has their own unique appeal, as well as their own brand of individuality. The well-known beards and expressive facial expressions that these two individuals have are the most prominent traits that they share in common. When one takes into account the fact that both sides have styles that are considered timeless, the bond that exists between Louis Vuitton and Galifianakis becomes even more fascinating. If it is your desire to ensure that the relationship continues to have the same level of curiosity that it has at the moment, then you ought to take this into account. Louis Vuitton is an organization that is recognized all over the world, and it has had a great impact on the fashion sector, especially when it comes to assisting with substantial advancements. A compelling reminder of the ways in which specific characteristics, such as the expressions that they wear on their faces or the creative aura that they both radiate, have the ability to unite people from a variety of eras and fields of influence, is the fact that the two individuals have a significant number of characteristics in common. Jack Black and Paul Revere. An overwhelming majority of historians and fans have reached the conclusion that there are an unusually large number of similarities between the actor Jack Black and Paul Revere, who is a great patriot of the United States of America. Revere is most known for his Midnight Ride, which took place in the year 1775. These conclusions have been reached in the year 2025. Ever since a newly discovered portrait of Revere was compared to current photographs of Black, which highlighted his piercing eyes and expressive face, the notion of reincarnation has been the topic of increased inquiry. Despite the fact that there is a temporal range of 2 centuries between these individuals, there are a number of followers who contend that the common features are strong and the energy that they share are indicative of the existence of a spiritual link between them. Despite the fact that there are skeptics who contend that this is merely a coincidence that has been brought about by human propensity to search for patterns, the striking resemblance between the two has not failed to capture the attention of the general public. By bringing together aspects of popular culture and history, This parallel sparks discussions about the identities of individuals, their cultural inheritance, and whether it is possible for souls to be reborn. Jennifer Lawrence and Zubaida Tharwat. In 2014, there was a significant amount of interest in this subject matter following the increased popularity of a photograph that juxtaposed Zubaida Tharwat, who was an actress from Egypt during the 1950s, with Jennifer Lawrence. The photograph, which was first posted on Reddit before Ngag began distributing it, shows a young woman from the 1960s who bore an uncanny resemblance to Lawrence. It is not out of the realm of possibility that she would be referred to as the Jennifer Lawrence of Arabia, which is a humorous way to refer to her. The inquiry that followed resulted in the discovery of a number of different items, and the contents of those materials indicated that the woman's name was Zubaida Tharwat. She was an actress who was famous across Egypt during the golden age of cinema, which was a time when the film industry was flourishing. Back then, her name was known and spoken of in every household. Her history continues to be a source of fascination for viewers, and her similarity to Lawrence is a contributing factor that adds a fascinating dimension to the timeless attraction that she possesses. Tharwat was an actor who had more roles in more than 30 films during the course of the 1960s and 1970s. Yom Min Amri and Fi Bettina Rogal were only two of the films in which she appeared. Mark Zuckerberg and King Philip IV of France. A side-by-side comparison of Mark Zuckerberg, the modern tech billionaire, and King Philip IV of France, the 14th century monarch, has circulated online, sparking curiosity and humor. The resemblance is more than passing, like the same elongated face, sharp and deep-set eyes, a serious calculating expression, and pale skin with straight posture. The eerie similarity has fueled memes, time traveler jokes, and even speculative YouTube theories. King Philip was known for being cold, calculated, and politically ruthless. He centralized royal power and strengthened the French monarchy. He initiated the dissolution of the Knights Templar, 1307-12, arresting them on charges of heresy and seizing their wealth. He engaged in conflicts with the papacy, eventually pressuring Pope Clement V to move the papal court to Avignon, beginning the Avignon papacy, known for his financial politics and heavy taxation, including targeting the wealthy clergy and Jewish communities. Portraits depict him with a reserved, almost emotionless expression strikingly similar to the public persona of Zuckerberg. Meanwhile, Mark took Facebook from a college directory to the largest social media platform in the world and became one of the youngest self-made billionaires in history. Viral posts compared their portraits with captions like, "Zuckerberg has ruled before," and the King of France founded Facebook 700 years later. Kanye West, an 1800s unknown soldier from American Civil War. Among the vast Civil War archives is a photo of a young black Union soldier whose facial features closely resemble Kanye West. The soldier's identity is unknown, and no biographical data exists to trace his life, unit, or background. The image has circulated across historical photo databases and was eventually picked up by pop culture forums for its striking resemblance to Kanye. The image started gaining traction on platforms like Reddit, Pinterest, and Tumblr, especially in communities based on historical doppelgangers. Side-by-side comparisons with Kanye West, in neutral expression, often wearing period-like clothing or in black and white, went viral and became a popular meme with internet curiosity, often captured with phrases like, "Kanye has been here before," or "Prove Kanye is a time traveler." Both Kanye and the soldier possess a strong jawline, wide-set eyes, and prominent cheekbones. The soldier's intense, focused gaze mirrors Kanye's often serious and introspective public demeanor. The nose shape and slightly pursed lips are nearly identical in some images. Even the hairline, when compared in some stylized photographs, matches closely. Internet users expressed awe and curiosity with the photo, gaining widespread attention, while the fans and theorists speculated whether it could be a case of time travel, reincarnation, historical coincidence, and the comparison sparked online discussions on race, history, and legacy. Artists began creating stylized edits and illustrations, based on the image pairing, while some digital galleries and content creators featured it in discussions of Black identity and ancestral legacy. Both the soldier and Kanye West can be seen as symbols of Black resistance, cultural impact, and historical presence, while the unknown soldier represents the fight for freedom, dignity, and human rights. Kanye West, for all his controversies, represents creative independence, defense of systems, and massive cultural influence. The unknown soldier remains a nameless part of the many Black individuals whose contributions to American history have been overlooked. Shia LaBeouf and Albert Einstein, young photo resemblance. Social media users, especially on Reddit, Instagram, and Tumblr, began circulating side-by-side images of a young Albert Einstein from the late 1890s and a younger Shia LaBeouf, particularly from the Even Stevens or Disturbia era, while the resemblance was immediately noticed due to the thick, parted hairstyle, similar eye shape, nose and mouth alignment, and a shared look of curiosity and thoughtfulness. Viral posts often feature captions like, "Shia LaBeouf is a young Albert Einstein, fight me," or "Time-traveling actors, Exhibit B." Fans and pop culture enthusiasts enjoy making artistic renderings or mashups of Einstein's theories with Shia's film roles. Einstein is synonymous with scientific genius, revolutionizing physics with the theory of relativity, and LaBeouf is seen as a tortured creative, innovative, controversial, and deeply introspective. Both challenged conventions in their respective fields, like Einstein defied traditional physics and LaBeouf defied Hollywood norms with unpredictable roles and performance art. Einstein was known for challenging authority, skipping class and thinking outside the box, and Shia LaBeouf has been known for rebellion and nonconformity, even clashing with directors and the media. Einstein was a pacifist, yet supported the Manhattan Project in its early stages. Shia has a documented history of personal struggles and emotional depth, both on-screen and off-screen. Human facial recognition can pick up patterns in symmetry, spacing, and structure, leading to these visual parallels, while studies in facial geometry suggest that only a small percentage of people have unique enough features to avoid resembling someone from history. The resemblance between Shia and Einstein likely stems from shared ethnic European features, facial proportion, and expressive styling in old photographs. Anne Hathaway and Francisco Goya's Portrait of a Spanish Noblewoman. The specific Goya portrait often compared to Anne Hathaway varies, but the most cited example is likely the portrait of Marchioness of Santa Cruz, 1805, or the Duchess of Alba, 1795. Both depict aristocratic Spanish women with pale skin, arched brows, almond-shaped eyes, and graceful posture with an air of serene intelligence. These portraits combine fashion, status, and subtle emotional complexity elements Hathaway often embodies in period films and public appearances. Both Anne Hathaway and Goya's noblewoman subjects have large expressive eyes that convey depth and emotion with arched and defined brows, contributing to a refined classical look. A similar bone structure with soft but pronounced cheeks and a regal chin both hold themselves with a straight, poised neck common in both aristocratic portraiture and Hathaway's public appearances. In period roles, Becoming Jane, Les Miserables, The Other Side of Heaven, Hathaway wears 18th and 19th century fashion resembling Goya's depictions, and a calm, confident, slightly introspective gaze expression with a signature feature in Goya's portraits and Hathaway's on-screen characters. Side-by-side images began circulating on platforms like Reddit, Tumblr, and Instagram art pages, where fans noted how Hathaway could walk into a Goya exhibit and blend in. AI and face-matching tools used in memes and videos have reinforced the facial similarities, generating playful titles like Anne Hathaway, Time Traveler, and From Spanish Court to Hollywood Glam. Some fan edits even colorize Goya's paintings with Hathaway's features or age her to match the oil textures of 18th century canvases. Brad Pitt and Herman Rorschach, Swiss psychiatrist. The side-by-side comparison became popular in psychology forums, Reddit threads, and celebrity doppelganger compilations, and the resemblance was first noted not by fans of film, but by academics and psychology students who stumbled upon Rorschach's photo during coursework. As the image circulated, reactions included, "Did Brad Pitt play Rorschach in something?" Or, "This can't be a coincidence." Rorschach created a test based on how people interpret vague images, and Brad Pitt is an actor whose career often revolves around shifting identity and perceived reality. Fight Club, Ad Astra, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. The resemblance adds a meta layer as if perception, the core of Rorschach's work, is part of the joke or mystery. Rorschach sought to decode human thought through abstraction, and Pitt, particularly in complex roles, explores emotional depth, trauma, and moral ambiguity, often echoing psychoanalytic themes. In Flight Club, Pitt's character is a projection of the protagonist's subconscious and an almost Freudian narrative. Rorschach's work was about what lies beneath the surface of our masked identities and unconscious desires, while the visual parallel makes the psychological metaphor literal. The resemblance has been used humorously in memes, captured "Brad Pitt invented psychology," and fan theories suggesting Pitt should play Rorschach in a biopic. Discussions about the line between character and identity in art, while some stylized fan art shows Pitt in black and white, wearing early 1900s clothing in a Rorschach-like pose. Jimmy Fallon and Mahir Khayyam. The resemblance between Jimmy Fallon, a well-known American comedian and talk show host, and Mahir Khayyam, a Marxist-Leninist revolutionary from 1970s Turkey, has sparked curiosity online. Despite coming from radically different backgrounds, the visual similarities, especially in youthful photos, are intriguing, like same facial structure, similar hairstyle, and distinctive eyes and smile. This unusual doppelganger pair has become a small but fascinating internet meme, prompting both laughter and curiosity about how identity, politics, and image overlap. First noted in Turkish Twitter circles and Reddit forums and often used humorously to contrast political extremism with pop culture levity, with comments like, "One led a revolution, the other signed with Justin Timberlake," or "If Mahir Khayyam hosted The Tonight Show." A popular meme template shows a split photo of Khayyam and Fallon with a caption like, "From Revolution to the Roots." Turkish audiences are more likely to recognize Khayyam and notice the resemblance, while the American audiences mostly react with surprise when shown side-by-side comparisons. The image comparison is sometimes used in satirical commentary about what different societies value and the passage of time from ideological activism to entertainment consumerism. Although highly unlikely due to political sensitivity, Fallon playing Khayyam in a dramatized or comedic what-if piece would cause a stir. Fallon does not resemble Khayyam in personality, but his face could be transformed with makeup and styling for an uncanny match. The hypothetical project could be a satirical or alternate history sketch, possibly imagining Khayyam as a late-night host or Fallon as a revolutionary leader. Although highly unlikely due to political sensitivity, Fallon playing Khayyam in a dramatized or comedic what-if piece would cause a stir, and Fallon does not resemble Khayyam in personality, but his face would be transformed with makeup styling for an uncanny match. Peter Dinklage and Sebastian Demora. The resemblance between Peter Dinklage, modern actor and activist, and Sebastian Demora, a 17th-century court dwarf immortalized by Spanish painter Diego Velázquez, has sparked conversation among art historians, film scholars, and fans. Beyond physical similarity, the deeper connection lies in their shared defiance of stereotypes, conscious presence, and the human dignity they project whether on canvas or on screen. Velázquez broke from the tradition of depicting court jesters and dwarfs as grotesque or humorous caricatures, and his painting of Sebastian Demora is one of the earliest known artistic efforts to humanize a person with dwarfism in fine art. This mirrors how Dinklage insists on being cast as a man first, not defined by his stature. Demora's portrait is a quiet rebellion against how society viewed him, and Dinklage's career is a loud modern rebellion against typecasting and exploitation. Both figures have challenged expectations, like Demora through the dignity Velázquez gave him, and Dinklage through powerful roles with refusal to be tokenized. Demora lives on through one of the most famous paintings in Spanish art, while Dinklage's legacy is growing across stage and screen, representing not just his own career, but a cultural shift in how disability is portrayed. Art historians and pop culture analysts have commented on the haunting similarity between Dinklage and Demora. If Sebastian Demora were alive today, he might look and act like Peter Dinklage, and Velázquez painted dignity. Dinklage performs it. Some contemporary exhibitions and essays draw side-by-side comparisons between the portrait and photographs of Dinklage. Dinklage himself has not publicly commented on the resemblance, but fans and critics often bring it up as a visceral connection across time. Some filmmakers and artists have proposed a dramatization of Velázquez's life, with Dinklage portraying Demora, a documentary or art short exploring Demora's portrait with Dinklage's narration or voiceover. Dinklage has expressed admiration for classical art and theater, making the idea thematically relevant and feasible. Thanks for watching Past Paradise, where Hollywood legends come home. If you enjoyed today's look into celebrities who look eerily similar to people from the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Got a star or story you want next? Drop it in the comments. Until then, keep the nostalgia alive only on Past Paradise.